Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Benjamin Bloom, trying to talk some football, focusing on the Championship as ever through this lockdown. Hope everybody is well. It is pouring with rain where I am, so a little bit trickier to get through, but hey, gonna go and try and exercise out in the cold, wet weather. Some players were back yesterday, so we spoke a little bit yesterday about Project Restart and 5 subs, so check that out elsewhere on the channel. Today, I've just been having a look at an article revealing lots of interesting numbers, so another financial look at the Championship. Today, much of the COVID discussion has been about using this time in order to rehabilitate what is widely now considered a really broken system down the leagues. Lots of people praising the system we've got recently, with professional players going down right through sort of 4, 5, even lower than that, making good money. How sustainable is it and how can we make it better has been a big subject. We know that pre-pandemic, Rick Parry was doing the new EFL head honcho, was doing a costings survey of the EFL clubs, particularly obviously the Championship. This isn't linked, although I'm sure the information kind of crosses over. These findings are from a yearly questionnaire required by EFL clubs to fill out on their spending. I'm sure it is part of the investigations, but sorry, I shouldn't really conflate the two. So this is reported by Mike Keegan of the Daily Mail, who claims to have got hold of a lot of this pretty interesting information. And before we go any further, the point of this video is to have a debate about the sustainability issues in football. If, like some people, you have an issue with the Daily Mail, I would ask you to look past that and say that I am a one-man band YouTuber trying to make my way in terms of football comment. If you can't get past the fact that I'll be looking at something reported in the Daily Mail, then I'm sorry. Enjoy whatever video you're now about to skip over to watch, but hopefully we are able on the internet to view news from different sources and not exist in an echo chamber. So I would urge you to keep watching, even if you aren't a fan of the Daily Mail. And not to say that I am really, but I just thought after quoting from the Daily Mail the other day and getting some criticism, that I would just mention that. I think the issue here is sustainability and the longevity of our clubs rather than any kind of political squabble. I won't get on my high horse about that, but it doesn't feel the time to be political point scoring. Everyone who watches the channel knows my feelings on the gap in TV money between the Championship and the Premier League, and in particular the method of distribution of wealth from the Premier League, i.e. the 3 teams that are relegated, if they're up there in the Premier League for more than 1 year, are given £75 million over 3 years, 45 million in the first year, whilst every other team is given 4.65 million. Obviously, yes, the Premier League thinks they're doing a very nice thing giving this money out, but the way that it's distributed is really, really messing with things. This is what drives the spending of the parachute clubs. They're chasing the Premier League, and then drives the spending of the other clubs who don't have the parachute money to chase the parachute teams and essentially the Premier League. And hence we have people like Mel Morris and Mr. Chansiri at Forest, Tony G at Aston Villa, putting themselves in and trying some very interesting accounting methods and very dangerous, particularly in Villa's situation, dangerous methods to try and bridge that gap. This article by Mike Keegan claims to have 18 Championship clubs' confidential reports. When I quote wages in this, we're talking about basic salary. We know that players get all sorts of bonuses, from promotion bonuses to minutes on the pitch to points bonuses, and I've heard stories about pools of money going in and then being distributed per minute played and per point achieved. It's all very, very complicated stuff and big money. I suppose it stands to reason that the better your players do, the more that they should be paid. I don't think anyone has any issue with that. So the report says the average top earner at a club in the Championship, remember this is based upon 18 clubs replying, is £29,000 per week, the average top earner. Remember, the average wage across all Premier League players, I believe, is £35,000 per week. So top average earner in the Championship doesn't make the average general of the Premier League. The top earner in the division was reported at a Southern club, draw your own conclusions, making £68,000 per week. So if we're assuming that number in a Southern club and the fact that Alexander Mitrovic signed a new contract at the start of the season, you might assume that might be the guy making that money. And here begins the crazy argument of justification in that if Fulham are promoted, their revenues then go up 120 million, whatever number you want to believe, and then all the stuff that goes with it. Is paying £3.5 million for your top employee too much? No, if you get promoted, but by God it is if you don't. So there provides the knife edge in the Championship. And one club reported that the top earner was only 8.5k per week, so £8,500 for their top earner. I guess you would be looking at Luton, Barnsley, Charlton, the three teams that came up for that figure. Remember, Rotherham were the only club in 2018-19 to record a profit. Where did Rotherham finish? They got relegated, so you can probably deduce which club that figure comes from. In League One, if we drop down, it's only based on 15 replies. Highest earner on average is £4,753 per week. League Two, £2,192 per week. And remember, those salary cap discussions last week were floating at a salary cap of £3,500 a week for League One. So that would fit in with the top earner coming in around £5,000. And in League Two, £1,900 per week. So those numbers do seem to kind of fit in. There is a claim that a player at a Northern League One club makes £15,600 per week. I'm sure anyone who has a Netflix subscription will be immediately assuming that that's Will Grigg of Sunderland after seeing that documentary. Although I would point out that I saw Glenn Whelan playing for Fleetwood not long before the lockdown, played very well, and I think we have on pretty good authority that he was making double that at Villa last season. So is it Glenn Whelan? Who knows? I'm throwing sand in the air and seeing which way the wind blows. A bit of guesswork, really. So we'll put allegedly before all of those. I know it doesn't suit most people's narratives, but interesting couple of figures for the lowest paid players. Someone in the Championship is only making £13,000 a year, and a couple of players in League Two only £7,800 per year. You would assume those figures would go up ratcheted if they can get in the team and the team scores some points and they get some minutes on the board. But obviously these figures are not often reported. They've got some managerial figures as well. Average manager in the Championship gets £29,000 per week. The average highest player, what was it? Let me scroll back up. Was also 29 grand a week. I remember the great Sir Bobby Robson saying that he should be the top earning person at a club. Why would an employee be earning more than their manager? But hey, things have turned on their head since Sir Bobby was managing. Top earner in the Championship, top earning manager is £66,000 per week, £3.5 million a year. We would all assume, with what we know of Championship managers and the calibre of one of them, that may well be Marcelo Bielsa. But before you Leeds fans comment, I always defend Leeds financially. They've had no parachute payments. Radrizzani often comments on profit and sustainability in FFP, and they do pump a load of money into the league. I'm sure the local pubs and the the facilities selling beer inside the stadium, and the betting companies like it when Leeds come to town. So I will defend them as I often do financially. There's a few other numbers to focus on. We'll just look at the Championship. Assistant managers, £4,000 a week. Chief execs, £5,500 a week. Again, that's the average wage across there. Look, we know executives get paid lots of money. That's in any business, and when you consider that a chief exec, 5.6 grand a week is getting what, 1/6 of a player, maybe, and there's only one of them. Maybe that's not the issue to look at. I'd be interested in knowing people's thoughts on this. My view, it's purely down, the financial problems are not down to players per se. Obviously, it's all interlinked, but I think it's the way that the money's distributed. I've said this for a long time on the channel, and that a much fairer system of money coming down from the Premier League, changing the solidarity system is the way forward. By all means, the team, if it's a meritocracy, when the money comes down, the team that finishes 18th in the Premier League, should they get given more money than the team that finished, 20 or 30 places lower, potentially 6th in League One, the League One playoff winner? Probably, if it's a meritocracy. Should Leeds, for example, who finished 3rd in the table and lost in the playoffs last year, get 4 million, and Huddersfield, who finished 20th in the Premier League, get 45 million? No, I don't think that's fair. Although, obviously, the issue comes down to, does the Premier League care about this, or do they want to bounce back the teams that they've had in the league and protect ex-Premier League teams? I suppose there is an argument, why should even 18th get more than League One playoff winners? Why not just split it 24 ways? But that all assumes that the Premier League wants to protect the whole pyramid rather than just protecting the Premier League. And we're into turkeys voting for Christmas type scenarios here. Again, I don't blame the players in the slightest. If we give a real world example to this, I'm a musician, I play gigs for bands, I jump into bands and play. The market generally over my career says I'm worth between £200 and £300 per gig. So if I were to say to the band manager in this band making 1,500 to £2,000 a gig, that I want more money and you should pay me more money, because if you reach the holy grail of corporate gigs in London or over in Abu Dhabi, you could make way more money, and it'll go from £2,000 a gig to £5,000 a gig. So maybe I'm worth £350 a gig. Well, in the real world, the band manager might gamble that little bit extra money on me, and if they don't make the holy grail of the corporate world, then perhaps I'll go back and take a pay cut, or someone will do it for less money than me, and the world won't implode. If you apply football connotations, so my job being a musician, then all of a sudden I'm going to the band manager saying, well, at the moment you make £2,000 a gig, but the corporate gigs are worth 30 grand a gig. That would be the kind of equivalent disparity in money. So you need to pay me £1,000 a gig, and all of a sudden then, if you apply the Championship to this, then you've probably got a lot of musicians going and playing in pubs for £1,000 a gig, and the band manager's making fast losses if they don't get over to Abu Dhabi or into London for that corporate money. So that's the kind of clown car situation you've got if you applied it to my job. Again, I put myself in a player's position. Do I want to make £250 a gig or £1,000 a gig? I'll take the 1,000, please, of course, and it's down to the responsibility of the person running the band and how much they're prepared to gamble. But you would think that disparity in wealth in the real world just isn't going to happen in the same way it does in football. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent here. I'm sure any musicians watching will understand the analogy. Let me know what you think of all the numbers. If you If you don't agree with my hatred for the parachute system, which you're entitled to, we believe in free speech and sensible debate here on the channel, then do let me know what your solution would be. Will there ever be a solution? Because this all hinges on the Premier League doing the, what does Gary Neville say, doing the right thing for the greater good. Do they have an obligation to do the right thing for all 92 clubs? Bear in mind they can sign players from these clubs, and they're happy to take those players. Maybe they need to do more. And again, the Premier League would argue, okay, well, we're giving 3 teams 45 million quid and all other 21 teams 4.5 million quid. We're doing our bit. I would just argue, split that money more evenly to stop making it, such a big disparity and such a gamble for those teams trying to compute that. I did have one fun comment. I'm sorry if it was you that put it. I forget the name of the commenter, but this person said that salary caps was like an obese person who's addicted to food asking the supermarkets not to put high calorie content on their shelves. So be interested in your thoughts on salary caps as well, or whether this is just down to clubs being responsible. Anyway, lots of stuff on finances today. If it's not your bag, I'm sorry, but it was. I'm looking every day for interesting stuff to talk about. It was the most interesting article I saw on my travels today on my laptop in my kitchen, hiding from the rain. Normal plugs, follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Subscribe, ring the bell if you want to see my comments on all of this stuff. And please get involved in the debate. Comment, remember to respect people's free speech. Hashtag be kind to people. If you disagree, that's fine, but let's just be nice about it. And as I keep pleading in this lockdown, absolute statements at the moment are guesses. Stop putting absolute statements, this will happen, that will happen. You do not know. It's a guess, and we're all trying to work together to try and figure out what's going to happen, and hopefully all we can ask for here is a good dialogue and an interesting debate that hopefully informs us all a little bit more and maybe entertains us and kills some time for those of us stuck on lockdown. What else am I plugging? I think that's it. I'll possibly be back with Jack Reeve tomorrow for another Bloom and Reeve. We're trying to figure out what to talk about as ever. So in the meantime, let's get some debate going on those numbers revealed today. EFL wages revealed, and that was my reaction. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.